Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I titled this message, Desperate to Make Money, and the Rich Know It. Desperate to make money, and the rich know it. There was an article that came out that was pretty much one of those that summarizes how the wealthy feels about, dare we say it, non-essential, lower income type of individuals. People who so happy to get a paycheck, no matter how much they pay you. Even though you can't pay your bills, just so happy to have a job. And they know it. CEO laughs off unfair job conditions, loses entire department responsible for 100 million worth of deals. Okay? Article starts off saying, no one enjoys it when they work so hard only to have their efforts go unappreciated. Many employees who feel unappreciated by their bosses go so far as showcasing their successes without boasting in order to be acknowledged. In a job, feeling unappreciated can take different forms. For instance, when a worker has consistently performed well at a job but has still not received a promotion. It could also be seen when employees who are experts in their field are not taken seriously. The implication is that as these employees begin to feel like their work is insignificant, they begin to believe that they are irrelevant and worthless. And can I tell you, those of you all who look at the spiritual side of things, the enemy, the demonic, the children of darkness, the evil within, thinks of you as irrelevant and worthless. Let me say that again. The enemy thinks of you as irrelevant and worthless. So when he, she, or the group hears through the grapevine, walks the floor, and sees things for his or herself, they see someone who is working at their organization, who is just there to get a paycheck. They don't look at anything more than that. They don't look at the just general human connectedness of love, appreciation, acceptance, teamwork makes the dream work. All of that to them is corny, is silly. You really think people think that way? Like they go to work wanting to be around each other? I mean, yeah, when they have a great work environment, it's like icing on the cake. Yes. Do you really think that they even enjoy working here? I mean, their attitudes. What's wrong with their attitudes? Because you don't pay them enough. Why is it that we can't seem to get anyone to work for this establishment? I mean, we offer great benefits and, well, to who? Great benefits to who? You see, they need the money. Let me say that a little louder. They need the money. They need money that's going to pay off bills, not get by. But folks at the top, they're not going to break off their money to help you. They won't even buy you a gift. You see, a quality one. Look, when we got individuals who are showing that they're desperate out here in these streets, online and elsewhere, by taking whatever a company offers, they win, we lose. They win, we lose. They win, we lose. Some people don't know business at all. Case in point, they want to get into selling various goods. So we get the newcomer who shows up to sell a brand name good at an unbelievable price. Matter of fact, we know they're not making money. They just want the traffic to show up in their direction. And then eventually they'll increase the price, but not by much. Those of us who cannot afford to be offering things at bargain basement discounts, okay, we've got to maintain what we're pricing our goods so that we can get a profit. You see, when you got someone who's offering their services to an establishment for whatever the wages are that they put out there, there are jobs right now as I speak that these companies, well-known companies, they are paying people $8 and $9 an hour down here in the South. They are paying people $10 and $11 an hour. Those types of monies I saw when I was a child. That is an insult to a grown man, a grown woman who has a family. And they don't care. And when you walk into these establishments and you accept these ridiculous wages, what you're sending is a message that I hate to be that one, to be the bearer of bad news or the name call, but this is what they look at you as: stupid, dumb, a fool. When the Lord speaks to you and says, don't take a job, you don't say that ain't nothing but the devil. When the Lord speaks to you and says, don't accept that hourly wage, don't say, oh, that's just my mind talking. God knows what goes on up in the boardroom. God knows what goes on over those conference calls. God knows where they're going for their vacation and where you aren't going. God knows what they're living in and what you're living in. God knows what they're driving and what some of you all can't even drive due to all sorts of factors. God knows. God knows. And when he speaks to you and he turns what you traditionally know as the right thing, and he calls these things out, believe what he is showing you in the spiritual realm. They wanted to create the Great Reset. Great, because we needed to create the Great Reset and let them know that while you're creating your Great Reset, you also better be changing the wages. And no, 15 was not enough. And they smiled and they laughed and they shook hands. You should have known that something was wrong then, because it didn't do anything in terms of their bottom line. They were already making money hand over fist plus some. $15 an hour was what? Yeah, we can do it. It's doable. We're just going to figure out other ways to get money and more money. So you reduce the amount of what you're offering in bottles and jars and boxes, and up the prices. And you also reduce the ingredients that you put inside of these products and add more fillers that cause health issues over time. And then you find out how you can cut staff down to the bare bones, to the point where it creates all sorts of frustration shopping in your stores. Long lines, for starters. And you come up with all these mandates and requirements, thinking there were no repercussions behind that, only for us to continue to look here and there at short supply or empty shelves. See the mess? And now we got people who's willing to do just about anything because they don't want people to harass them. More specifically, businesses that they owe, to harass them with phone calls, that they don't want to see letters, that they don't want their credit messed up or whatever else, that they dangle over your head to keep you begging, to keep you so happy for my monies. See, we know this all too well because we heard, some of us anyway, heard what our grandparents and great-grandparents said even about those who came before us. How desperate they were. We was picking up bricks for 10 cents a brick. We were doing this and we were doing that. Yeah, and then there was also prices that were a lot lower. That's why many of them were able to get homes. You see. While the next generation, home what? They didn't think about all of that. All they were telling people was the same old models that they grew up with, which are archaic. And those models are the same models that many of these organizations have been using for many, many years, and they're not working. They're not working. They're not paying bills. And so when somebody comes along and says, let's change up some things, however, let's be professional, still maintain that. Let's be ethical, still maintain that. That's never going to go out of style. Let's care for others. Let's make sure that people have great work conditions. Make sure that they have the supplies, the quality supplies, so that they can do their jobs effectively. The best tools. And if we don't want to hear about you don't have the money for. We hear that in our own families. We don't want to hear about Fortune 500 companies not having the money, or Fortune whatever now that they are, not having the money for anything. We don't want to hear it. We don't have empathy and sympathy for that. What have you been doing with your money? Cut some of those salaries. Pull back some of those investments. Yeah, maybe you do have to shut down some of your stores, monopolizing everything so that the small man, the small woman's business can't thrive. Trying to make things difficult because you don't want competition. Spread the wealth. Create the cost savings. Treat people with some dignity, with some respect. Those were the old models that had that customer service charm to them, right? I'm like you, I'm struggling just like you, but at the same time, though, I'm also doing the best I can to make sure that you're a repeat customer. Taking pride in their environments. Taking the time out to talk to people, actually knowing who the owner is. Wow, hey, how you doing? He's showing up at parties. He's showing up at church events. She's showing up, But it's not phony. It's not forced. It's not, because we can pick up when people are genuine. You get some of these CEOs that they're fake. They show up and they're fake. They're not used to being around the common man, the common woman, the plain speaking person. They're not used to it. That we disrupt their atmosphere. If we ask too many questions, ha 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 ha, yeah, okay, well, I gotta go right now. Thank you so much, for that suggestion. We'll see what we can do. And some of them never do a doggone thing. So what are you going to do? You're going to learn how, in your mind, to live with less. You're going to learn in your mind to stop going along with programming that says that you deserve and you should treat yourself. You've been treating yourself for years. The Lord said that many of us over the years, we've spoiled ourselves. We spoiled ourselves. We spoiled our children, our grandchildren. We spoiled, people who we didn't even know on the street. You're going to learn how to live with less. Therefore, if you're not going in there spending up your money, spending up your last, they're going to see it when they look at their spreadsheets. they're going to see that we mean business. We mean serious business. Some of you all, you're going to take your skills that you learn from those corporate entities and you're going to make it work for your own business. Stop being those individuals that, oh, I'm still loyal to this brand and that one. Stop being that. Create your own brand. I told one of my sons, I said, you go around here, you're advertising for all of these companies that aren't even thinking about you. Matter of fact, they don't even hire people that look like you. And no, I'm not going to be buying them. I'm not buying these brands that you all put up on TikTok and elsewhere. Not doing it. You go on some of their websites, you'll see the pictures. They don't have anybody that looks like folks that are in some of these areas that you shop. I've been coming across my share of ethnicities and genders that are predominantly white and male at the top. And then the workers out in the field, the workers that are out on the court, the workers that sometimes aren't even frontline workers that are black, but many of them are when it's the field and the court and, the so-called non-essential jobs, and then some of the essential ones as well. But when you're like the face, I should say, the face of the establishment, they put them in the manager position. And sometimes you'll see a black face depending on where you are, or a brown face, or a face that you don't know what the ethnicity, but a minority. But depending on where you're located, somebody who comes out the back, you thinking it might be a black person or a brown person or somebody, and it's a white person. Moved up the chain pretty quickly. Look, I don't know about you, but anytime you hear about people laughing, making fun of, I saw one particular business out in the mall, and these people were pointing and joking and laughing at the customers. And I made a point not to shop over there, because I observe, if you got people that's in an establishment and they got attitudes, you can't smile, but you want me to spend money at your organization, I walk out. I need some more people that you got to be this way. But I don't care, drive across town and go where the nice people are. Look, we got to stop this. We got to stop this. I just got to, or I just need to, or you don't know what my situation is. If you're a child of God, God is going to take care of you. I don't care how many calls, how much harassment, what they're going to do, all these threats and everything else. Your credit goes down, you know how to build your credit up. It don't stay down. You're going to work for the right organization. That's the plan. And you're going to ask the Lord to see you through. Yeah, it's nerve-wracking. Yeah, you're fearful. Yes, you can be worried at times. But God said what? We're not to be fearful. We're not to be having anxiety about these things. I know it's tough. That's why they got breathing exercises out here. Even the creme de la creme, the top of the top, they get stressed out. They get fearful. They get worried. And there's all sorts of techniques that they use. And those techniques, a lot of them are free out there on the internet. You just got to do your research. How do I breathe through this situation? Who do I talk to in the event that I go through, much anxiety for what I'm about to do? You see? Some of you all, you got to be creative. I got to move money here, move money there, change this up, change that up. I got to make some things available, make other things not available. I got to sell certain things. I've got to save money. I've got to stop spending so much. You know what your needs are. So I spoke out loud and I said to the Lord what my needs were. Because he said you can speak out loud about what you can't afford. You can speak out loud about what you don't want. You can speak out loud about all these other things. So speak out loud about these particular things. And some of you all, you draft up your list of what those needs are. And you ask the Lord to provide for you. All these people who go around here, bragging, all of these folks who put quote after quote about what God can do, some of them don't even believe it. It just brings in great page views. That's what the Lord told me. It makes them feel good. It's not about the quote so much as it makes them feel good that you're liking. Spend less time liking and commenting, on people's stuff, and spend more time focusing in on what it is that God wants you to do. And that eliminates the jealousy and the covetousness that creeps up when you hear once again that a friend or a family member is doing better, or a friend or a family member is blessed. And then I found out through the Holy Spirit that a lot of times what they're calling blessing is later on a curse to them, because they never had God in a plan when they posted up their so-called blessing. God wasn't in the plan. It was what they wanted, and they went out and they just did it. They had no insight from the one true God as to what they were supposed to do. They just said, this is what I want to do. Let me make it happen. And so they get the victories here and there, and then they call them blessings. Then when the curses come, they start wondering, how come all of these curses are coming? Because God said that you never gave over your business, your plan, your job search, or anything else over to him. It was always about what you wanted. I went right out there and I said, this is what I want. So I made it happen. Notice, I. So because you said you gave glory to who? You gave glory to yourself by what? You posted. Then somebody came along, liked, shared, commented, right? Where was God in the glory? We give God all the glory. We give God the honor. We give God the praise for what it is that we're doing. You see, no, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's righteous, it's moral, and all of that good stuff, ethical. Some of these companies are not ethical. God knows what goes on behind the scenes. Wouldn't it make sense to reach out to your creator who knows what's going on behind the scenes, who knows the future, than to be reaching out to all of these men and women who don't have a clue? You see, all they can do is guess. We read reviews and we get some information because God told me about research, right? He said, check the reviews. Don't just check the first view, right? Because they can pay people to put up a review. But I want you to delve deep. I want you to go through pages and pages and pages. I want you to go through the Better Business Bureau before you go sending your money here, there, and everywhere. You see. Sometimes when these things happen that are negative to us, it's because, 1, we did not get God in a plan. 2, we didn't do thorough research. 3, we don't know who's at the top and how they've been treating their employees that are around them at the top. I found out when one particular manager has showed up with a team of people around him. And I found out what he was really about in person. I only heard through the grapevine how he could be. But when I saw the people around him, how depressed they looked, I said, this isn't somebody who I want to work for. This isn't somebody who I even want to sit in the same room with. And we were in the same room. And you know how people like to put you down. Some of you all don't know about this, but others do. They put you down because they assume, first, by the color of your skin, then by your dialect. and then they may misconstrue your body language. And so they assume that you're a fool or you're stupid or you're not educated or you don't know this or you don't know that. And so I picked up that this man was already formulating a judgment about me. And it was unfortunate because not only was his mannerism showing that, but then the condescending speech. So this is the kind of thing that some of you all are up against. And this is why the Lord is saying, for some of you all, you're doing some things that everybody would go, oh my goodness, you don't just leave a job. You're supposed to have a backup plan. That has been always the best advice. However, when God is on the move, sometimes that's not what happens. I've been on this planet long enough to know that there's been times where no, there was very little in the bank, but the Lord made a way. Hallelujah. You won't be emotionally abused any longer. And at the time when this man was forming judgment, I was pregnant. You think I'm going to lose my child behind that stress that he was putting on everybody? You see. And it's some people who they've lost plenty of children over the years behind stress, right? They go, oh, well, it's okay. It's all right. No, it's not okay. It's not all right. When you know it's preventable, but yet you continue to go full speed ahead, causing all sorts of grief, not just to yourself, but to the people around you. Because they know the reason why some individuals are losing the money, losing the babies, losing the marriages. This ridiculous stress that these corporations put upon you while they're laughing at you, saying they wouldn't even work for their own organization. I remember hearing that through the grapevine. Because I told you all, I've been a temp for many, many years, decades. And I've heard all sorts of things. And they know, hey, she's just a temp. She's not trying to work for this organization, as a permanent employee. And so they would feel comfortable telling me things about their permanent employees. And I'm like, even if I was considering, thank you for telling me how you feel about your employees, because I'm not going to work for your organization as a permanent. No way. You see. So let's be sensitive to hearing from the Lord as he is moving us into new direction. Some of you all pray for new direction. Some of you all pray for increase. Some of you others have prayed for employers to leave, businesses to be shut down. And some of that is happening. You see, oh, he was once, a great manager, or she was once a fabulous business owner, and this one was, and all of this. Well, these businesses are coming down slowly but surely, you see. But we need more people on the front lines saying no to the foolishness. We need more people on the front lines saying we cannot continue to operate this way on no $8, $9, $10, $15 an hour. Grown people, seasoned professionals. That's an insult. Positions that I remember were in the $20, $30, even $40 an hour. How are you getting these people in on some 18 and 15 and even $12 an hour? You know how they're doing it? Because some desperate person comes along and says, I just need a job. And you messed up for everybody because of that. Instead of going in and acting like you don't need, and going in and showing them all of your years of experience, selling them on the fact that you know technology, or you know how to manage, or you know how to recruit, and you give them example after example, and then you've got those successes that you talk about, instead of this attitude that shows that, well, the bill collectors are after me. Oh, my credit's going to take a hit. Okay, and you build your credit back up. until you find, or until God show you where you're supposed to be. Let's drive these numbers up hourly. Come on now, in Jesus' mighty name. Let's drive these numbers up hourly. Let's get these companies to come out of their reserves and start paying for quality supplies, resources, you name it, better work environments. For some of you all, you did not want to return back to the workplace. And let's make sure that you don't return back to the workplace and continue to operate from home in Jesus' name. But make sure that you're a quality employee working from home, because we got too many people that want the pass on the dog barking and the kids running around and cooking and talking to neighbors and everything else. That is unprofessional. It's unprofessional. And this is why some of these organizations want to bring some people back. Well, but I can't. Well, then you need to get back at the workplace. You see, this is why. So we need to get it together and allow the Lord to speak into our spirits on what our next moves are. I'm believing for God to do some great and mighty things in all of your lives, because I know that it's only getting tougher. On a side note, someone who I ran into said that she came across an individual who was a friend of her husband's, who was an insider, okay, and said that for the next 5 years, we're going to see all of what we have typically bought to increase even more. So you thought prices were bad. Now, they're only going to get worse in the next 5 years. So it's time for some people to start being vegans. Okay, meat is something else, and some of you all, you know it. So at the time of this message, one of those frozen bags of meat was running at $35 a bag over at Sam's Club. Some of you all know what I'm talking about. Okay. So 5 years, a steady increase. And so therefore, that's why I'm saying we should be having a steady increase of hourly wages. And folks who got to deal with customers on a regular basis with an attitude, they should be the first ones to get a serious increase. And no, $15 an hour, sorry, didn't work. It's not enough. I thank you as always for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen. You've been listening to YouTube nmenterprise7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. We do welcome giving. Thank you.